we're discussing our what's going to happen genetically as we get older. Hannah, she was just talking about how her grandma has the best skin.
She does.
And so, as you guys can see, she could be the most surprised person in the room, and there would be no wrinkles on her forehead. Me, I got train tracks running across my head, and I have gray hairs coming up through. So, we're gonna see. I'm gonna age not like fine wine, and Hannah's gonna age like fine wine. So, I mean, you're gonna be able to tell you. I give myself like 15 years, and they're gonna think I went to school with baby Jesus. 100%. 100%. Like I can see it in the mirror when I look. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm aging very, very quickly. But it's okay. I'm still beautiful. I mean, I'm not arguing that. Trust me, I'm not arguing that. All right, guys. So welcome to the Snap It Sold Today show, episode 88. I'm your host, William Prue, with Snap It Sold.
And I'm your co-host, Hannah Lachowski with Snap It Sold.
And today we're sitting in a very echoing auditorium because we like to change up the scenery. So we're going to say sorry for that now. We're working on some new equipment, some mics to go on, to step on. We're actually we're elevating our entire camera setup and podcast setup as well. So as soon as that comes to light and we find some time to actually get to know the equipment, way we're not multiple guessing, get through a whole episode with the microphone on and not realize that, or off and not realize that it was off.
Right.
So until then, again, apologize guys for the echoing. But on today's episode, guys, we, as usual, talk about the things that we deal with on a weekly basis.
Right.
And right now we're dealing with a buyer who's also a seller, or sellers who are also buyers. And they got a house under contract, and everything's lining up accordingly. But me and Hannah thought in our heads, what if, how can we address this so people understand it? So if you currently own a house and you want to move, a lot of people will get wrapped up in the idea, well, that, in this crazy market, it may be difficult to find another house, or, I have to sell my house before I can buy a house. And, it's just complicated, so people kind of stay stagnant where they're at. So we want to talk about some of the things that you could do when you are considering wanting to sell your house and then buy a house.
Right.
So in our current situation with our clients, they were able to apply for a mortgage, but they knew that they were going to sell their house. So they got accepted for a mortgage. They had their pre-approval amount. They knew what they could do. And so we locked in a property for them before they listed their house. So as soon as we locked in that property, just a week later, we decided to put their house on the market. And now it's going to line up to where they move into their new house and they sell their house around the same time.
Right, so they won't have two mortgages at one time.
And because that's one of the biggest worries,
yes,
is having the double mortgage. And there's a couple different things that people are unfamiliar with, and that is when you first purchase a home, typically you're not making a payment until the end of the next, or the beginning of the next month. Right. So what's this month? It's
about to, okay, so let's say
it's August 1st now. Let's say you close on
tomorrow when we post it.
Yeah, right. When we post this video tomorrow, it'll be August 1st.
Right.
So if you close on August 1st, you will not have a payment until September 1st. August.
Yeah, but let's say you close, like for instance, they're going to be closing on August 11th. Their first mortgage payment won't be until October 1st because they have all of September where they won't have a bill, and then including their closing cost from August 11th until September 1st, they prorated those days. So technically they're making a mortgage payment, but they're not.
But that's
it's coming out at closing.
Right.
So it's almost in your mind, you're thinking that you don't have a mortgage payment until October 1st now. Right,
and keeping in mind that when you list your property, anywhere from 35 to 45 days it takes to close and to move forward with that. So, it's just educating the people that are scared about, putting their house on the market and then ending up with two mortgages.
Right, exactly.
So remembering that time discrepancy between when you close and when you make your first mortgage payment. It always lines up a little bit differently, and we'll show you how this works when we get your cost sheet at the end towards the when we get to the closing table. You'll see that has been escrowed, or not escrowed. It's being paid at closing, coming out of your closing costs.
Exactly.
So remember that there's that month and a half. It just depends on the date that you close and the time period in the month that you close. That'll get you to understand when your first payment will be made.
Right, exactly.
So, talking about the different options that you have if you're considering selling to buy, right? So we discussed a few things that you could do. So a lot of people aren't familiar with the occupancy thing. So in this crazy market, what buyers were doing to entice their offer, say they couldn't offer more money, what they could offer to the seller was occupancy.
Right, exactly.
Right? 30 to 60 days. And we've seen that a lot. I mean, I think as the market starts to shift a little bit, as we anticipate, back into a little bit of a balance, and it's slowly but surely happening. We're going to see that less and less, but it's always an option to make your offer look better, and we've been seeing that a lot lately to help all parties in the transaction get to the closing table.
Exactly. And this would work out even better for you if you weren't able to obtain a mortgage and you're using either all or most of your profit from selling your house to buy another house.
Exactly. So we can also do a short-term rental. They're few and far in between and more difficult to get your hands on.
I feel like Airbnbs right now are more working out for that scenario.
Right, and that is if we end up in the situation where you're going to need that extra time.
Right, because you listed your house and you're still looking for a house to buy.
We haven't had any problems.
Waiting to close.
When you educate people and you help them, you hold their hand down the transaction. We haven't had any issues with our clients selling their home and then buying. It always lines up perfectly. You just have to be properly educated on what you're doing, right? You have to make sure that when you're selling, you have a good head on your shoulders, and you don't list the price too high, because if you list it too high, it'll sit longer.
Yes, that's another thing too.
Right, and you also have to take into consideration when you're looking for a home to buy, analyzing the market, listening to your agent. You know, how aggressive you have to be, what kind of, that way when you put offers in on a home, you have a better chance of sticking out. So having expectations set accordingly is very important as well.
That is very true.
But again, we've had no issues, but we do know that there is that worry out there from sellers.
Right, exactly.
That, they're like, I can't move because where am I going to go? Well, a couple months ago or 6 months ago, I would have said, that's a good question. We're going to have to be very aggressive. And you might want to have that cash on hand. Right now, I still think we're still in that period of time where you're going to need to be a little bit more aggressive.
Right.
But we're in a situation now where sellers have a little bit more leeway, and buyers have a little bit more leeway as well. So, and this is exactly what we want, because now we can be happy on both sides of the, with both parties, buyers and sellers.
Exactly. Especially when you are in both of those seats yourself.
Yeah, and it's a stressful process. I love, this is my favorite part. I mean, I love helping both buyers and sellers independently, but when there's a seller who is buying as well, it is the best opportunity for an agent, especially if they go out shopping. They understand what the buyers are doing.
Yes.
They understand the offer process. They understand why you have to put a good offer in, and how that breaks down.
Exactly. Because they're in the seller's shoes,
Right.
They're the seller themselves.
Yeah, so on the flip side with the sellers, right? So when they're selling their property, they understand what's happening with the market, right? If you've been a buyer that's been getting beat out, you can anticipate, if we list your property correctly, we're going to have that similarity, hopefully, right, when we list your property, if we do it right. So, but anyway, the best part about it is they're on both sides.
Yes.
And they understand where we're coming from when we talk about list price, when we talk about the clientele, when we talk about
inspection period, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, very, very, very important. And again, I just love it. I love it. These are my favorite transactions. It can be a stressful time period, because you're also worrying about buying the home, getting all your stuff in order on top of what's happening with your property. Selling it, your mortgage, and all that other stuff that comes into it. So it can be a little bit more stressful for people to go through it. But if you are guided correctly, very, 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 very easy to get through. You just have to, keep your head up high and truck through it.
See what's the best option for you. Should you sell your house? Do you want to maybe rent for a year, or try to find a short-term rental and then get out there looking, or just keep looking while your house is on the market and put offers in contingent on the sale? Maybe that'll work better for you, or possibly if you can get a mortgage, go out, get a house under contract, then list your house, or completely get through the whole process. So then that way, when you list and sell your house, you can just easily and at your own leisure move everything into your new house.
Right.
So
and that would be ideal, but for a lot of people, what we have is we will not have the funds to close on our new property unless we sell.
Right.
So again, that all falls back on your agents. We need to make sure that we're setting expectations correctly, listing your property in a way that it will sell fast and will make the money you need to close on your next property, and punching the time clock accordingly. That way everything lines up. Right,
exactly. And that way we can just use the occupancy days that the buyer hopefully offers you, and smooth sailing.
Yeah, that's always an option. See, what I like to tell people is that is it's an added potential.
Yeah.
It's a potential.
It's like a cherry on top of the sundae, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point. But what I was saying is, when we put roadblocks in front of us, and I always like to refer back to the city inspection, right? When we have to give the certificate of occupancy. So it's similar to that. So if we don't give the certificate of occupancy, the buyer has one last thing to look at, or one more thing to look at and say, well, I can offer a little bit lower or whatever because I have to take care of this, right? Same thing with the occupancy. If you add needing occupancy, that can put people in a position where they're like, okay, well, I can do this and that'll bring my offer down. So these are all things that we'll discuss, and we have to be realistic with it. So we can put negotiable, but you can absolutely, when you list your property, say, I need this much time in order to move my stuff out, find my next property.
Right.
And then, and the reason I'm saying that is because we will discuss these things, because we have to set expectations properly with our people. That way they understand that if we do tell them that we're not going to take care of the certificate of occupancy, we need 60 days occupancy. We have these, and that could limit the buyers that we bring to the table.
Right.
But on the flip side, the buyers that we do get, that puts us in the position of where we get what we need so we can get to the end. Right?
Yeah. No,
So just dotting the I's, crossing the T's with that, guys. Hopefully this video wasn't too echoey. I feel
or too confusing.
I mean, it may have been, but you know what? It's just another episode, another week addressing. I know we're always worried about that.
I'm always worried about that.
Are we explaining things in a way that people that are out of real estate understand? Are we doing that? I don't know. I mean,
right. You guys let us know.
we try. Let us know what you think, and we'll try to work on that, I guess.
Right. Pretty much, yeah.
You speak in real estate, another whole other language. Speak English for us. I mean, just tell us. I mean, but I think we do a pretty good job at
explaining everything. I do too. I just always in the back of my head, I'm like, are we everywhere right now?
We're everywhere, all at once. What was the name of that movie?
Everything that's everywhere. I don't even remember.
We just watched a crazy intense movie just a couple days ago.
Now that movie was confusing.
I'm gonna add the title description to this video so you guys can go check it out if you haven't already seen it. It's just mind blowing.
Really
a little
is.
cheesy.
And it makes you think too. Yeah, it was a little cheesy, but it makes you really think. Like, you have to watch it to understand where.
I love those movies that have this great storyline, but with all this, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. At the end of it, there's meaning for it, right?
Yes.
Like you're too busy in life. You think that this is all that matters, and then bam, it smacks in the face. What really matters? One of those movies, you should definitely check it out. I know if I watched it a couple days ago and I'm thinking about it today, then that tells me I think it was a good movie. So I think that's what
We're still thinking about it. No, maybe it was called Everything Is Everywhere. Maybe that's
Everything all at once for nothing or something. I don't know. I'll put it in the video.
It was made this year, so it kind of, I don't know. It's very modern, I should say.
Yeah.
For
I think it was last year. Last year it was made, right?
This year, last year.
Jamie Lee Curtis was in it.
Yeah.
And she played her character very well, but I was like, there's no way that's Jamie Lee. I still remember the Scream Queen in Halloween, and she's so much younger.
Yeah. Or in Freaky Friday.
What?
She looks totally different from that movie too.
Oh, it was a good movie though. I liked it.
All right.
But
now
guys,
we've talked your ear off about
call to action, right? We always have these call to actions. If you guys need guidance, if you need help, if you just have questions, if you're not necessarily ready to buy or ready to sell, but you want to get more educated on the process,
right.
Give us a call. We would love to help you.
Or even come in and meet with us. We love in-person meetings because
that's my thing too.
Yeah, because we could really get to know you and get to feel you out.
And you get to know us too. And you already know. You probably know us better than we know you by watching our video. But yeah, reach out to us, guys. We would love to help you. We service the downriver and surrounding areas. We will go outside if you bring us some food when we meet. Just kidding. Sweets preferably. Just kidding again. We're gonna wrap this video up. As always, it costs $0 and 0 cents to be a decent human being in this world. We will see you guys on the next episode.